This movie, I've never experienced a movie quite like this that has created the opportunity for so many conversations to be had. And not only because we want to, because it's like there's a need to have the conversation. Just recently this weekend, you said that's kind of one of your favorite parts of sharing your films.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of conversations do you hope are started and people start to have around this?
You know, I that's, first of all, I love the art that I see. You know, that's one of my favorite parts of the conversations is that see people get inspired and you know, put things up that in turn inspire me. You know, we talk about the you know, the sort of social commentary. I think there's many ways to look at it, you know, with this film, but I really wanted to make a movie that examines our inability to look at ourselves, and that we are a culture that fears the other, fears the outsider, and fears the invader. And that's, you know, where the tagline comes from, is we are our own worst enemy.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the complexity of this film for a moment, and I actually want to say thank you because, you know, as an audience member, oftentimes stories are just kind of laid out, like here's what you have to think, here's how you have to follow. This movie, it really feels like you are allowing us as audience members to participate in a very intelligent way.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is so unique and so wonderful. So how do you create a film like this where every detail is intentional, every decision a character makes is completely intentional? How do you unpack that as a writer, as a director, as a filmmaker?
You know, I think there are a lot of films, some great films, by the way, that kind of assume the audience is dumb. You know, they assume we're dumb. And I like to assume my audience is smart, that they are eager and hungry to be engaged and to start like sifting through this movie and looking for the Easter eggs, the references, but even more importantly, these kind of thematic motifs that I'm trying to weave together. So I think that's it. It's like I assume my audience is brilliant, and then they deliver to me conversation that proves it's right.
Yeah. I have to bring up Lupita.
Okay.
She's incredible in this movie. I couldn't believe that. I knew in my mind that she was playing both characters, but it's like they're you forget it's like they're two completely separate people. She does such a phenomenal job.
She's so good. I mean, I can't tell you, like, she has so much, she's a preparation is kind of how she comes in. And we discussed and dug deep into these characters. She really pushed me in my understanding of the characters. And then, you know, watching her embody Adelaide, you know, our protagonist was just fascinating, iconic, and alluring.
Yeah.
When she came on set as Red, the antagonist, a hush fell upon the set. It was just a transcend. We all knew we were in like the presence of greatness when she walked in that room.
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel the same way right now, just because this film is truly incredible. The performances are amazing. It's bone-chilling, and I cannot wait for people to experience it.
Thank you so much.
So you've said before that you saw Get Out 5 times in theaters and knew immediately that you wanted to work with Jordan Peele. What was it about his style of filmmaking that you were like, this guy, like, he's a genius. I've got to be a part of this?
Well, I've never been to the cinema to see a film 5 times. I may have been to see a film twice, maybe, but never 5. And what I loved about it, first of all, he makes his films, he packs his films with meaning, hidden meaning, and he trusts his audience to find it, you know? He makes films for intelligent people. And he makes films for everybody. Equals everybody's intelligent. You know, if you expect more from people, they give you more. And so I love that about his filmmaking. And it's intelligent, it's fun, it's cool, and I just had never experienced a horror film with a black protagonist where the monster is racism. That is genius. You know, and that it was all that, and it was funny and thrilling at the same time. He just exploded the genre for me, and that's I could go on and on and on.
Going back to what you said about the complexity and the layers and how he expects more from his audience, I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had in the last 24 hours just about the layers of this film and all of the like little hidden, signs and symbols and everything. How do you as an actor work through, one, the duality of the two characters that you play, while also helping unfold this very complex story?
Ooh.
How do you do that?
Yeah. It was very stressful.
Okay.
It was very hard. But it took painstaking, patient, deliberate preparation. That's what it took. And it took having Jordan literally on speed dial. And the thing about him is that he's very generous with information. He's not the kind of director who's keeping things from his actors. He really just invites you into his head. And so I could pick his brain and ask him the hard questions, and he was always willing to hear me out and to take suggestions and requests and just like we worked so hard on this together. And so I invited him into my process in a way that I've never invited a director before, because I knew that the key to unlocking this was in our partnership. And yeah, it needed to be mathematically precise in order to be able to execute it.
Yeah, so you also had an amazing premiere in South by just recently, this past weekend. And when you guys were down there, Jordan had said that one of his favorite things about making movies, and specifically about his movies, is, the idea that people have conversations out of it. And it will encourage people to stop and say, hey, like, we should talk about this. What kind of conversations do you hope people have after seeing us?
Well, the thing about Jordan's film is that it's not even like we should. It's like we have to.
You have to. Yes.
I remember leaving Get Out and just being like, I couldn't talk about anything else. And I called my brother in Florida being like, yo, you need to go to the cinema. You need to see this thing so that we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just so rich, and and he really just, the audience is the last actor in the movie.
Wow.
They are they are the missing performer in the movie, and it just makes you pregnant with a desire to want to talk about it. And so, with this film, another thing that I love about his films is that he's not about prescribing what you take from it, and you can leave having thought one thing and then speak to someone else and your idea just transforms, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's like, we make it, you take it.
I love the way you just put that. Well, this film is, oh my gosh, incredible, and your performances, I really hope you get a lot of recognition and a lot of attention for, because it was truly incredible.
Thank you.
Well, this is a movie that your brain's got to warm up for.
Yes.
It is so complex, so layered, and just like amazing.
You have to walk in with your thinking cap on.
This is filmmaking at its peak. I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. Jordan's known for making very complex films, very layered films with meaning and little Easter eggs throughout. So just as you are working through the script, did you already know a lot of the hidden elements that are placed throughout the film, or did you kind of learn them as you were making the film?
I think it was a little bit of both, I did my own research, reading the script, and Jordan let me in on his process. So after all that, I was pretty aware of it. Then I hired a dramaturg to just go through the script with me, and pretty much just go through with a fine-tooth comb and research the color red, bunnies, the historic meaning of doppelganger from the German history.
Yeah, that's actually really creepy when you look it up.
Yeah.
I did do that, and I was like, oh my.
Yeah, and you learn that it's like this spirit that shows up before you, and it's a bad omen.
Yeah.
And usually people die after. It's actually...
It's just not a good thing, ever.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. I also want to talk about the duality of the two characters that you play, because, at least in my opinion, you kind of have one of the most... broad, I guess, dualities to it, because your character as a family man is you're very fun. You're that all-American dad, that you've got the dad jokes going strong, And then when you're Abraham, it's you're very, very different, very still, and very Creepy is the word that I really want to use right now.
Yeah, but I feel like with Abraham, there's a lot of sadness and awareness of, the things that he doesn't possess. And I think they're defined by those two dualities, which is Gabe is defined by his possessions and his comfort and his privilege. And he essentially possesses everything around him. He possesses his family. He sees, his family through a lens of like, they are an extension of myself. So if they're doing well, I'm doing well. I have a trophy wife, so I must be doing well. And she's an example, of how good I am. And Abraham is really defined by his lack thereof of possession of almost anything. Healthcare, he doesn't get to have glasses the way Gabe has glasses, so he squints. He doesn't get the freedom and, ability of articulation. He doesn't have any of the basic, inalienable rights that we have other than where you meet him, other than when you meet him. And they're really defined by those two things and really creating a specific point of view. So it's not the good and evil version. I never judged Abraham as a villain. I never made him into a villain. He's just a guy who's finally getting an opportunity to do something that changes his life. And there's a deep sadness in that,
Yeah, I can't wait to see this a second time because I feel like the more I think about it and talk about it, the more I start to see and understand. So you will find me in theaters March 22nd to see it again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. So we were just talking about how amazing this movie is.
Thank you so much.
You guys are incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have to know, though, because you play two different characters that are essentially the same character, with two completely different natures. As a young actor, what is that like, developing, the same character in two different ways?
It was like,
having to play it.
It was kind of challenging, at first, but I think that as we kept going and as we kept shooting, it got easier because we got a little bit more used to the role, and we got a lot of freedom from Jordan to, move around and choices with our physicality, and that helped a lot. So I think that we kind of just got a part of our characters a little bit.
Yeah, and your characters both had very different physical traits, from your posture, certainly your movement, and the dexterity of your movement. So did you have to train on like physically creating those characters?
Yeah, we had to train with me. I trained with my stunt Freddie. He would help me teach me how to scatter and call around.
Yeah,
it would be fun.
That was so creepy. I want to bring up Lupita as well because she's incredible on screen in this movie. Incredible.
Yes.
So what was it like working with her day to day? And I heard, rumor is, whenever she came on set as Red, it was just this hush. Silence.
Exactly.
Serious silence over set.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy.
Yeah, because when we were in Raid, we had to have 5 minutes to get and sing, and she was really in character, which made her performance really good.
Yeah. Was she scary? Because I know she plays her mother in the movie, but she also, plays this very creepy mother.
She kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was fun too. We get to see a totally different part of Lupita, not just Adelaide Wilson.
Yeah.
So that was cool, and we got to explore ourselves as actors. So it was great. We learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
Now, Jordan, in my opinion, is one of the greatest filmmakers that making films right now today. His scripts are always so complicated, layered, complex.
Yeah.
Working with him as a director, did he walk you through some of those meanings and Easter eggs, or were you discovering them just like we did during the process?
Yeah.
We were kind of discovering them.
Yeah. And he'd also walk us through sometimes.
Yeah.
If we didn't understand some of it, he'd walk us through it on set. He'd be like,
because as he said, most of his scripts are really complex. But the great thing about it is he always circles back to a subject that he started on in the beginning of the movie. So you kind of caught that at the end of the movie when you saw the connections.
Yeah. And now I have to ask, because you get to play two different characters, which one's your favorite to play?
I think that my
Bad
doppelganger.
Jason.
Yeah.
Bad Jason.
Yeah.
It's always more fun to be bad, right?
Yeah, I think it is because
because-
you never really get to,
Yeah.
explore your bad self all the time. So, sometimes, it just is so much fun.